Hey everyone, this is Shay Bynes, founder and chief fire igniter of Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur, and your host of the Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur podcast. Today, I have a little bit of a bonus episode. I think it pairs so nicely with yesterday's episode that we had with Henry Kasner, because one of the things he mentioned during our conversation, although we didn't dig into it, was the idea of chaplaincy. Marketplace Chaplains. And I had a conversation with Kwabea Francis, who is a representative. She's a chaplain herself and a representative of Marketplace Chaplains here in the South Florida area, in this region. And it's interesting because I've actually had multiple conversations with people recently who have really talked about how valuable it has been to their employees to have chaplaincy available. And so I just wanted to have a conversation, with Kwabea and share a little bit about what Marketplace Chaplains is about, what her experience has been as a chaplain, and just the value of business owners even looking at this as a possibility in terms of ways that they can show love and concern for their teams. And so listen in and enjoy this conversation I had with Kwabea Francis. Kwabea Francis, how are you?
I am great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. You and I, this is our second conversation. We had the pleasure of meeting. I'm involved in a bit of a kind of Kingdom collaborative group where I met Jason Brown, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Marketplace Chaplains. And he connected me to you being here in South Florida like me, and serving as a director of operations. And I really wanted to have this chat with you because I don't think that a lot of people know that there is such a thing as Marketplace Chaplains. I want to talk about what it's like from a practical perspective, how God moves in the midst of it, and just talk about your story too. So why don't we get started by you just sharing a little bit about your background and how you got connected as a Marketplace Chaplain in the first place.
Absolutely. Amazing enough, I went to a conference with my denomination. And as a part of the conference, they always have different booths. Y'all know church conference, usual. And one of the booths was a gentleman from Marketplace Chaplains, who is now actually my counterpart. And this was one of the years that they were highlighting serving as a chaplain. At the time, I was a hospice chaplain and certainly looking for other ways and other avenues to serve God outside of hospice because of just how heavy that work can indeed be sometimes. And this individual, Hector Perez, he is actually EDO over in California. He starts to tell me about Marketplace. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about this Marketplace Chaplains. And he tells me how literally I would be going into corporate America, serving as a chaplain, caring for and supporting and just loving on the employees that I would work with. And the thing that caught my attention, I'm thinking, listen, I'm ready to sign up. What do I need to do? And he says to me, oh, but it's only part-time. It's not full-time. I said, I'll take part-time. I said, I have a job. It's fine. Because, I recognize that even if you can start someplace at the, with just that part-time level, it can always move up. And so at that point is when he, also interacted with me in Spanish. I spoke back to me in Spanish. He's like, oh, you speak Spanish? I was like, yeah, I live in South Florida. No joking, but it does help, right? It certainly helps. Yes, it does. And so, so from there, literally, I, put my information in the computer. And I would say probably within like 2 weeks, I had an interview with the director of the area, and that's the individual who I actually took his place, where I am now. And so when I first started on, I was serving as a chaplain at a hotel. And I was able to work Monday through Friday, my usual job. And I would literally go to the hotel whenever I was able to, which most times was weekend, when you work full time and you're a parent and a wife, or married, opposite sex situation. But
yes.
it just opened the door for me to be able to continue. The other thing that I thought was a blessing with Marketplace Chaplains was the freedom to be able to just pray for and encourage people along the lines of what the Word of God says, and just share Christ as so led.
Yeah.
And not be concerned with possibly losing a job. I've heard of people who in corporate America, because they share Christ, they've lost their job. And so with Marketplace Chaplains, you don't have to fear that. It's not forced by far. We don't force that on anyone. Matter of fact, we have companies that are not necessarily Christian based because they know that we are taking care of their staff. So yeah, long story short, I got it into Marketplace Chaplains through just my connection through Hector Perez, who later on, when the opening came up for me to serve in the role I am now, I got to connect with him again. And every time I talk to him, I tell him thank you. Because of him, I am now still serving with Marketplace Chaplains. And that was this year will make 4 years in July.
Wow. That's so good. Okay, so for those who don't really know what this even means, like to be a chaplain, what does that role look like? What is that? What's kind of like the everyday life, the typical life of the Marketplace chaplain? Maybe share about what that looked like for you working in the hotel when you took your first position.
Absolutely. So, what that looks like is regular visits, which allow the chaplain, or were allowing me to go in and take care of the staff. Now, it's funny, whenever I say that, people say, like, when I've interacted with people and just going to different networking events, they say, "Are you guys CNAs?" And I said, "No, we're not
Right.
certified
You're not like, I'm
nursing
not a
aid."
nursing
Right.
assistant.
Because they hear care, and they,
Yes.
automatically when we hear care, we think physical. No. And so often what's left out is that spiritual, that emotional part. Marketplace Chaplains helps to support people spiritually and emotionally. I shared it earlier. It's not something where we judge or where we push anything on it. No, but we literally do care for people. It takes the form of literally going in, visiting the location, talking to the staff, interacting. How it might look like literally, how are you doing? How is your family doing? How is your day going? Literally, as a chaplain, what you'll find is people will go from saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine," to just a, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." You could see many times in their body language. Sometimes it's how they say what they say, but quite often it opens the door for me or whichever chaplain serving to ask, "You don't sound like you're having a good day. Is everything okay?" Um, when we do this, we don't take up too much time, because that's like a red flag for some company
Right.
owners.
Like, no, they're
No,
here
no,
to do
no.
the job.
Right, right. We watch that. I always encourage the chaplains, we've got to watch that, because it's true. It's easy to just get away with time and just talk, especially if someone is heavy. But on the
Yes.
flip side, what Marketplace Chaplains has done a phenomenal job of doing is helping employees who are struggling and not able to work because of the emotional or spiritual baggage. When we talk to them, after we talk to them, Marketplace Chaplains has given us the opportunity to be able to help that burden lift off of that person.
Yes.
I have seen so many cool opportunities to see where, just from a conversation, I didn't mention prayer, I didn't mention Jesus, I didn't mention God. The person themselves many times mentions God and mentions just because they know us being chaplains, they know what we present, and what we represent. But at the same side, they just acknowledge the fact that we care enough about them. And
Yes.
at the end of that conversation, it's not unusual to hear, "You know what? Thank you. I feel so much better after talking to you. Now I can function." That's what every employer wants to hear, right?
Right.
Every employer wants to hear that their people are being, as productive as possible.
Yeah.
Many of the employers that we have been blessed to work with care about their staff. They're concerned about their staff, and that's why they bring us on to help support them. The other neat aspect to what we do, it doesn't just look like me going, say, for instance, 4 times a month. It also looks like connecting on a national basis. We have a network of chaplains all over the nation where if there is anything that is taking place,
Hmm.
I'm able to make contact with one of my counterparts, whether it be New York, Indiana, believe it or not, even Hawaii. And I don't think we have any in Alaska, but Hawaii, we have Canada, I believe, as well, certain parts of Canada, because Canada is pretty large. But we're able to connect with the leaders up there and ask for chaplain visits in different areas. Sometimes it's just a call. Of course, COVID days, it was just a phone call.
Right.
If when pre-COVID, it would look like a visit. I've done visits here in Miami, at the Kendall Hospital and different locations for other companies who are nationally located. And again, that further helps the employees be more at peace to know, okay, someone's going to talk to so and so. We don't
Right.
just go to the hospitals, we go to the jails, we go to nursing homes, we go to rehabs, you name it, even homes. We
I was
can
going to
make
ask
home
what kind
visits
of
as well.
businesses are hiring chaplains. I mean, you mentioned a hotel was the type of place you first worked at. I mean, are
Mhm.
corporate like technology companies, like bank, like are you seeing this as like a cross industry interest to have somebody on staff to be a chaplain in their company?
Most definitely. Most definitely, because the neat thing I've seen, like I can remember one gentleman, one of my company owners asked me which industry do I find works the best with Marketplace Chaplains. And I told them there's no specific industry, I told him that I found that it really is open to any industry, because what we do, one of the first things that the EDO or the DO, such as myself, or director of operations or executive director of operations, we interact with the company owner, learn about the company, learn about safety standards. One of the places we go to is it's like a factory, so it's not abnormal for us to go to factories. I have a yellow vest that I have to wear when I go to one of my work sites. I cannot wear sandals. All of our locations, you have to wear closed toe shoes, but especially like skid free shoes are important, that type of thing. But that type of thing I found out about from my interactions with the company leader. They give us the rundown. What is the atmosphere like? We just started serving in a lawyer's office, a law firm.
Nice.
So of course it's a different aspect. So I'm not going to go in there with
Yes.
my yellow vest on and jeans. So, of course.
You flow with
So
the atmosphere of the place
listen,
in which you are, right?
totally, totally.
Yes.
And we are blessed I mean, it's just amazing how God does it. God has a way of putting the right chaplain in the right location. If by chance a chaplain starts in a location and it's just not working, I've seen where the Lord has just provided provision through the form of someone else.
Yes.
And so I wouldn't say that there's any set, but from a law firm, factory, actual retail store, Chick-fil-A, that type of place, even a
Yes.
McDonald's, because we do have some of those that we serve. And
Interesting.
so there is no limit to where we can serve. I would even say, because I know in the past we've done veterinary clinics, regular health clinic. I mean, meaning like physical checkup, like a physician's office.
Yeah.
Any one of those locations are potentially great places for us to serve, because I would say any place that has stress, isn't that probably like 100% of the jobs in this nation, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
any place that has stress, I would say would be a great fit for Marketplace Chaplains to serve.
Interesting. Okay, now I want to switch the direction now. As you know, you happen to mention, as far as your story, you were already serving as a hospice chaplain, and then this was something else you do. I don't
Mhm.
know whether, I mean, the people who listen to this podcast, for example, are almost exclusively business owners. I'm curious to
Okay.
know, like, are people who become marketplace chaplains people who are already chaplains in other places? Are they people with diverse backgrounds? Like, what does it even look like from a qualification or a training or whatever? Like, who are these people who become chaplains?
That's a great question. I would say one of the best qualifications, first and foremost, being just really having a heart for God and having a heart for people. Um, if someone wants to try something different, but they don't like talking to people, this is
This is
not
not the
the
one.
job for them, because they just, even in the training, they wouldn't be interested. So this is one of the best fits for people who are great talkers, but even better listeners. even better listeners, because we're not there to talk, we're there to listen. We're there to support the staff, we're there to empower the staff. And we always tell people when we're meeting them for the first time, we are not counselors. You don't have to be a counselor. Whenever I hear someone tell me, oh, I'm certified in this, I'm kind of hesitant, because again,
like,
we
I don't
are
want you to bring
not
that part
counselors.
of you here.
No, but
Right.
not impossible, because actually one of my chaplains was a guidance counselor in the schools. But he's one of the best chaplains I have. And he has learned, that obviously when he's serving as a counselor, that's one thing. But when he's doing the Marketplace Chaplains, he follows, just the protocol that we have,
Right.
where we empower, we listen. And as a matter of fact, it's not abnormal for us to come in contact with people who are needing to talk to someone else. So in that instance, we refer out, we refer. We don't have specific counselors or psychologists that we represent or recommend, but we will give a list so that that
Right.
person can choose for them.
Yeah.
I would also say a person who is certainly just has a heart for God. I think I'd mentioned that.
Yes.
Is okay with possibly driving. You don't have to lift anything heavy. That's not the type of job that we do, because it's all talking.
And
Um,
no degree in theology, went to Bible college, none of that stuff.
you don't have to be ordained.
No
No.
ordination necessary.
No, I will say it helps if you're mature in your walk with the Lord.
Yes.
If you just came to know Christ, I wouldn't recommend it, because
Right.
we can't give what we don't have.
Right.
So
right.
and whenever I say mature, sometimes people think, well, I'm not perfect. No, we're not talking about perfection. I think a person who's mature knows that they are not perfect, and they're working towards.
We're going from one level of glory to the next.
That's it. We
Yes.
are working to where the Lord wants us to be. And so
Yes.
those definitely, you could be a man or a woman. Obviously I'm a woman, so
Yes.
either or, definitely. There's no age requirement, no age limit.
Okay.
Yeah. And matter of
that's
fact,
good stuff.
we love when we get young chaplains. Very seldom do we get young chaplains. Majority of my chaplains are, I'd say, in their 50s and above. I'm the
Okay.
youngest. I'm
And this is
one of
like
the
and this
youngest.
is part-time paid work, right?
Very part-time. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. And definitely paid. So
Yes.
when I say very part-time, it could be a small assignment, because some people say, well, I want to serve, but I don't want to do too much. Listen, we have something for everyone. So it could be as small as 2 hours a month. And sometimes it could be as large as 40 a month. The 40 hours, that's not always. If we have a large factory, like I told you, we have some places
Right.
with their factories, but even in those instances, we try to split that up to get more people in,
Yeah.
because ministry can be heavy.
Yes.
So one person hanging and handling all of that can be a
It'd be
bit
a lot.
much.
Yeah.
And literally, as I mentioned it before, it's across the country. Quite often we have a need. It's a matter of people just going to the website, looking up their area to see if there's any availabilities. And even if there's not an availability, a person can still fill out an interest form, so that we at least have their information in our system.
Yes.
In the event that something comes up, we can reach out to them.
And what's that website?
The website, there's two. The first one will be www.m as in marketplace, CHAP, cares, all one word, CARES.com. That is the website that they can go to, where they'll see just a little introduction from Doug Fagerstrom, who is our CEO, as well as hear more about serving as a chaplain. But better yet, if say, for instance, someone is hearing this and they're like, I love this, I want to do this, I want to serve, they can click where it says available positions. Literally, you'll see that on that link. The second, and also if it's a company, say for instance, like you were saying, there are company owners that are interested in and want to hear more, you can also go to that website. And the alternative website is www.amazon Marketplace Chap USA.com.
Okay.
But guess what? The other easy way, wonderful Google, if you just type Marketplace Chaplains in the Google search, it will pop up, guaranteed.
Yes.
But those two
Organization's been around
websites,
for quite some time, right? What?
yes,
What?
it's
20 years?
1984, 30 plus.
1984.
Yes.
That's goodness. I love that. Okay, before I let you go, share with me I know you're in a leadership role right now in Marketplace Chaplains, but you also serve still as a Marketplace Chaplain. I want you to share your favorite story of how God moved in the midst of you serving as a Marketplace Chaplain working with somebody.
Oh wow, so many instances. That's the cool thing about this job. But I would say my most favorite and the thing that just keeps me going and gave me just this amazing boost to continue to serve with Marketplace was there was a situation where I was called on by someone in Texas. They had an employee that was here in Miami, which is about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, as you know, from this area. And the person was having surgery and they were afraid. And so I went and I first talked to her on the phone, and she was like, just come, and she told me the time to come. I met her. It was over in Hialeah. And we sat, we talked. She wanted me to pray. I was open to pray. Amazing instance. I prayed for her, got to interact with her. And after that one prayer, that was the first prayer, because there was a few more after that. She was like, thank you so much. I feel so much better. I was like, be encouraged. I'm believing that this is going to work out and you're going to be fine. And so I told her, let me know when you get out of surgery, because this young woman came all the way from Texas for surgery. She had no family, no one else was here.
Wow.
And so at the end of just that time frame, she went into the surgery. I heard back from her later that night. She was doing good. I was thankful. Everything went well. And then things started to go down from there, unfortunately. Long story short, she had complications. Ended up having to go to the hospital, but what was supposed to be just a 5-day visit turned into a 2-week visit because of the complications. But what I saw God do through this, when I say God saved this young woman's life, because she kept having this discomfort, and I would just go and I would try to visit every few days. I would call, I would pray for her. She was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. When everything came out, it came out that yes, there was complications. They had to do surgery again on her. After that surgery, just before she was ready to go back, she turns to me and she says, how can I ever thank you? She's like, I don't think I could have made it through this time without your help. And I said to her, you know what, how you thank me? Serve God. Because she knew the Lord. Of course, I don't do that with everyone, but she knew God.
It was a Holy Spirit led moment.
Yes, totally Holy Spirit led. I said, listen, just serve God. Continue to serve God. And so, every now and then because at the time she had my number, every now and then I still hear from her, and guess what? She is serving God.
I love
and so
that.
To me, that's like, whoo, God.
Yes.
Because, in this instance, it was evident it wasn't me. I could never take credit. None of us can ever take credit for anything we do, right? But just to see the Lord's footprint and handprint on this young woman's life.
Yes.
I was like, wow.
So good. I love that. That's great. I want to shout out these websites again. I believe it was mchapusa.com and mchapcares.com. Either one of those websites people can go to. So if you are listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I want to spend a few hours a month, being able to go into the marketplace, go into corporate America and serve in this way. Or maybe you're a business owner and you're like, wow, this is a service that would be really amazing for my company. If you're one of those people, head over to the website, check it out. Kwabea, thank you so much for sharing with me today. And this has been good. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Shay. I so appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Absolutely. It's Shay again. I really enjoyed my conversation with Kwabea, and my prayer is that as you were listening, that if this really resonates with your heart, either to serve as a chaplain yourself, just on a part-time basis in the marketplace, or whether as a business owner, this is something that you want to look at in terms of a way to provide a service, to those who are in your organization, I strongly encourage you to check Marketplace Chaplains out. And in the meantime, we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur Podcast. Take care and God bless.